In the comic books, Caitlin becomes Killer Frost. Is that a fate you would or would not want for your character on TV?
I think it's really exciting. What's so cool about this show is how, at least in my experience, how faithful they are being to all the comic book lore. Like they are so respectful of the stories that have been told, and it's exciting. I memean, the thought that goes into the Flash costume and all of that, it would be exciting to be a part of that.
We've seen that Wells is hiding secrets. How much are Caitlin and Cisco going to become aware of this? Do they have any suspicions, or are they like, oh, he's wonderful?
It's hard for me as an actor because obviously I see the whole script and now I'm seeing the episodes, but Caitlin doesn't know that, and she comes back to Star Labs because she believes in Wells. I mean, if you think about Star Labs and the vastness of it, how many scientists were working there and how many people were there, the fact that she and Cisco are the only two that show up again, just in a very sort of silent way, demonstrates their belief in him. So, we're starting this journey with the utmost respect and passion for him. I don't know that they're at a place where they want to see Wells's flaws. If that makes sense.
Did Wells personally hire both Caitlin and Cisco, do you think?
Yes, to the best of my knowledge, yes.
Does it change the process for you at all, knowing these potential destinations for the characters, knowing who she could become, knowing who Cisco could become? Does it change things at all?
I don't think so. I don't think it changes things for me as an actor, because a lot like the audience, we're getting the scripts 1 week at a time and just sort of taking this new information. Obviously, we've had conversations with Andrew and Greg and Jeff about, what's happened before and that sort of thing. But, it's kind of fun to be that audience member who gets every new script. I mean, truthfully, when they come in, I'm like a little kid in a candy store. I can't wait to read it, and I'm squinting and reading it on my iPhone, trying to see what happens.
Did you appreciate the fire and ice line about that?
I did. I loved it. I love that kind of stuff. I think it's so cool.
Can you preview a little bit about how Caitlin is involved in the crossover between Arrow and Flash?
Sure. For me, it was so cool because my journey with Flash actually started on Arrow. I shot the episode of Arrow before I shot anything on the pilot, so it was awesome to get to go back for the crossover. And it actually begins in Central City. They come to us first, and that's a really cool journey. It's awesome to see the contrasts between the two main characters, specifically between Arrow and Flash, and just the way they approach things and the way they think about things. So it was great to have them on our show, and I think that Caitlin and Cisco are very relatable, and that they can't wait for the opportunity to get to Starling City and see what's actually going on there.
Fun for you and Carlos to have sort of forming this rapport that these characters have, where they're obviously like-minded as far as their intelligence, but they're very different personalities.
So different personalities, and I think that's great. I mean, I think you really get to see it even in the top of episode 2. He's got such, I want to say innocence, but that's too simple for what it is, but a passion for what he's doing, and a little, not childlike, but just an amazement of everything that's coming, and he gets so excited by it. And I think the contrary to that is Caitlin, who's a little bit more practical and reasonable and concerned about the consequences and things that are going to happen. So it is a fun relationship. He does such a great job, and he has you'll notice that he always tends to be eating some sort of sweets, and that is an evolution that happens throughout the show and that sort of thing. It's great. It's really fun.
What would Caitlin make of Iris if and when they meet?
Well, in the pilot, they have met because Iris is coming to check on Barry when he's in the coma. There's a really awesome scene in the beginning of episode 5, I think, where a whole host of us go out for drinks together, which I think is really fun. I'm not sure we're done exploring what the social dynamic is like between all of them. I think she might be a little jealous of Iris and, all the attention she's getting from the boys, because Eddie's no schlub, let's be honest. But they have a bond in that they both care about Barry. And I think that's something that you will see more of as time goes on. But, they're two smart ladies. I think they're going to respect each other. It'd be fun to see them have a bottle of wine together or something.
And time for just a couple more questions.
Getting back to the crossing over between Arrow and Flash, what did you notice any dynamic? Like you're playing these characters the same, and it's only a few feet away. The stages are
truly.
Do you feel a dynamic shift when you go from one show to the other one?
Do I feel a dynamic shift? I mean, we're still our characters, and what's great about the Arrowcast is they've been up here for so long. I've known Katie Cassidy for a long time, and when I first came up here, she was just a gem and was like, okay, here's what you need to do. This is the everything you need to know about when you move to Vancouver, which was awesome. And they've all been like that. They're in year 3, so we're like the new kids on campus. We're the freshmen who are still a little bit nervous, and they're the juniors. They've got this thing down. Like they know what they're doing. So it's nice because I feel like they've all been very welcoming. I will say the one big difference that I did notice is that their set is so dark. And I'm going to sound like an old lady when I say this, but I was like, where am I going? I don't know what's happening. I can't see anything. Versus, I think that's one of the many contrasts between the two shows, which is so fun.
Does the character, the tone of your character at all change because the tone of Arrow is darker?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, that's a good lesson that I think Cisco and Caitlin learn in being with Arrow is that there's a sort of element of fun and fantasy that they have when they're just sort of on the phone with the Flash, helping him do incredible things like save kids from burning buildings. But when they're on the Arrow, some really terrible things happen and they're forced to deal with the reality of death and consequences to these things that they're in a very a very immediate way that they don't generally get when we're in Central City.
Do you think that she learns from Felicity in that sense and really sees how she's able to help Oliver and how your character can in turn help Barry?
I think there's a lot of similarities already. I mean, we both sit behind computers a lot and type. So, I think we both are helping them in those ways. And then, just Felicity, I don't know if there's anything, I can't remember anything specifically off the top of my head.
You're on the phone a lot to Barry, but is there going to be a situation that comes up, or have you read anything or heard anything from the writers where Caitlin gets thrown into the line of fire?
I mean, I always joke with Andrew that Caitlin loves being in the warmth and safety of Star Labs. I would imagine that that's a possibility. I mean, we have a lot of TV to tell, so you never know.
Personally, do you want to do like some action-heavy scenes?
Yeah, I think it would be so fun. And, we have an incredible stunt crew on our set. I've been doing this for years, and sometimes you encounter stunt coordinators who are a little bit too macho and are just about, let's do it the biggest and the best and the scariest we can. And these guys are so thoughtful and have everything so well planned out. They're so great. So I'm excited. I would love to get in the action a little bit more.
Amanda Pays from the original Flash TV series is coming on. Does she and Caitlin have any scenes together?
Do they have any scenes together? They have a scene together. Yes.
Can you tell us anything about it?
Their interaction is minimal, I'll be honest with you, unfortunately. But I think she's a force to be reckoned with, and that's very clear from the minute she steps on screen.